What's going on, everybody? So I tested my blood sugar after eating bread, and these results are going to shock you, okay? Just so you know, here's the Freestyle Libre 3. They are discontinuing that. But I want to go over this because I think it's so important just how blood sugar fluctuations can impact your health. I see it all the time. And you may not be aware that they're actually happening. So this is why I wanted to test some of these common foods, because we know bread is one of those things that causes a lot of issues, autoimmune issues. And so I've got 4 different types of bread that I tested. So I'm going to go through all those results, and then I'm going to have an action plan like I do for you in every video. So I'm about to show you what happened to my blood sugar when I ate what most people consider healthy whole grain bread. The results were so shocking that it completely changed how I counsel my diabetic and neuropathy patients. And if you're eating bread regularly, even the healthy kind, you need to see this. This is why I like testing blood sugars. I think everybody should test their blood sugars, whether you get a CGM or a little glucose monitor, because it can give you some insight into some things that you don't realize. I had one patient that didn't even realize he was a diabetic, and he went from walking around to a wheelchair within 6 months very fast. So these things are important for your health, and it's important for you to understand what's going on and how to address them. So I want you to stay with me, because I'm going to show you the exact blood sugar readings minute by minute and reveal why this could be sabotaging your health. So if you're new here, I'm Dr. Strong. I help people reverse their chronic conditions naturally. And I've been telling my patients for years that bread spikes blood sugar, but I wanted to prove it for myself and to you. So I strapped the CGM, this thing here, and it's on me for 14 days, but I tested different types of bread to see exactly what happens inside your body. And what I discovered will change everything that you know about healthy carbs, or so-called healthy carbs. So here's the setup. I fasted for 12 hours to get a baseline reading. Then I tested different types of bread that people commonly eat thinking they're making the healthy choice, right? There's so many labels out there about gluten-free, or this is healthy, or, preservative-free, whatever it may be. But that doesn't mean that it's still not having a bad effect on your body. So white bread, Wonder Bread, the obvious villain. Whole wheat bread, what doctors recommend. Ezekiel sprouted grain bread, the health food store favorite. And then sourdough, the trendy gut-friendly option. So I ate 2 slices of each type on separate days at the same time with nothing else. My continuous glucose monitor tracked my blood sugar every minute for 3 hours after eating. And the results, let's go over those because they're mind-blowing. So here's exactly what happened. My fasting blood sugar is around 85 milligrams per deciliter, which is what you want it, especially if you're fasting. You want it to be below 100. Now, for my diabetics, for my neuropathy patients, we want to see that even after they eat, it stays below 140, because that's when we know that their insulin resistance is proving and that we're making headway as far as healing their metabolic system. So test number 1, white Wonder Bread. After 15 minutes, it was 95 milligrams per deciliter. I'll skip the milligram per deciliter. 30 minutes, it was 145, and I'm healthy. I'm not a diabetic, okay? 45 minutes, it was 178, which is classic diabetic range. 60 minutes or 1 hour is 165, 90 minutes, 142, 2 hours, 118, and then 3 hours, it was at 95, okay? So you can see how it really shot my blood glucose up there. I really don't like that I went over 145 for me. I know that that's causing a lot of damage in my body, and it's something I definitely want to avoid as much as possible, because this puts me at a greater risk of developing nerve damage, having inflammation, developing arthritis. So no surprise there, but here's where it gets shocking. Test number 2, this is what most medical doctors or people who are in the medical space, but they don't really have like a health background, they're more of a sick care background, they recommend whole wheat bread, the healthy choice. So after 15 minutes, it was at 92, 30 minutes, 142, so kind of getting up there. And then 45 minutes, 172. I went right back into the diabetic range. Now, At 60 minutes or an hour, it was at 158, 90 minutes, 135. So it comes down fairly fast. And then 2 hours at 112, and then 3 hours at 88. So this is what all of your doctors are prescribing to you. And whole wheat bread was only 6 points lower than the white bread at its peak. Sorry, that's my glucose monitor going off. So isn't that crazy to think about, that even the healthier option is just 6 points lower? So it's, how much of a change is it really making? In my professional opinion, I would say probably not that much. Now let's go to test 3, Ezekiel bread, sprouted grain bread. So after 15 minutes, it was at 90, 30 minutes, 138, so better. I'm in under 140. But now at 45 minutes, it spikes up to 168, and that's still in that diabetic range. After an hour is at 152, 90 minutes at 128, so I finally got back in under that 140 level after 90 minutes. And then after 2 hours, it was 105. And then after 3 hours, it was 86. So even the expensive health food store, because I know everybody talks about how expensive health food is, bread spiked me into a diabetic territory. All right, now the last one, and to be honest, this is my favorite one because my grandmother made sourdough bread growing up all the time. And of course, you know, she fermented it and did all of that. I'm sure that she added quite a bit of sugar because it was really good. But, you know, my story was I gained a lot of weight when I was younger, and I weighed almost 200 pounds as a 12-year-old, mainly because of eating Little Debbie's and fudge rounds. But it's something that's what's put me on this health track, so that I, you know, am here to help as many people as possible. All right, enough about me. But test number 4 was sourdough bread. At 15 minutes, it was 88. That's pretty good. 30 minutes, 125. 45 minutes, it was at 148, pre-diabetic range. So about 8 points above where I would like it to be. You know, if I'm strategizing, I might eat more fiber with this, or protein or fat, in order to help reduce that, which this is kind of the lesser of the evils. You know, it's still not the best option, but it's better than all of the rest. And then at 60 minutes or an hour is 135, 90 minutes, it was at 115, 2 hours, 98. So, you know, even after an hour, I'm back below that 140 range, which I'm happy with. That's good for me. And then 3 hours, it was at 84. So the sourdough did perform the best, but it still caused a significant spike. So it's not something that you definitely want to eat every day. I understand that, you know, there's moderation. I'm a big 80-20 guy, so I know it's very hard for the majority of the population, but you have to understand, if you're going through a chronic disease process, it's imperative that you give your body the best chance to heal as possible. Now, let's talk about why this matters for your health. So you might be thinking, so what? My blood sugar came back down, but here's what you need to understand is that every single time your blood sugar spikes over 140, you're causing damage to your body. You're causing damage to not only the nerve tissue, but the muscle tissue, you know, the organ tissue. And this is how diabetes develops and why it's such a growing problem. So here's what's happening during these spikes is, 1, nerve damage. High blood sugar is toxic to your nerves. This is why diabetics develop neuropathy. Even if you're not diabetic, these spikes are slowly damaging your peripheral nerves. And then the second one is inflammation. Each spike triggers an inflammatory response throughout your body, and this inflammation damages your blood vessels, which we see commonly because we see very poor blood flow in a lot of these patients, joints, and organs. The next thing is that it can cause insulin resistance. So your pancreas has to pump out massive amounts of insulin to bring that sugar down. And over time, your cells become more resistant to insulin. And then, hello, type 2 diabetes. Glycation. This is probably how most people get damaged if you understand this process. Sugar literally sticks to proteins in your body, creating what's called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. This happens in the brain. This is what Alzheimer's looks like. These age your skin, stiffen your arteries, and damage your organs. Then we see energy crashes. I don't know how many people come into my office and they complain of fatigue, and they're lethargic, and they're tired, and they just don't have any energy. Well, what happens with this is that Those blood sugar spikes may make you feel good for a short term, but they come right back down. And that leaves you tired, hungry, and craving more carbs. So if you're just constantly looking for carbs all the time, then this could be the reason. So I've had patients with unexplained neuropathy who completely reverse their symptoms. Man, that will not leave me alone. Just by eliminating